Hello everyone and welcome back to the podcast. Today we have another special guest with another interesting topic.
Good afternoon everyone. We do have another very special guest. I'm not going to tell you who it is, what she does or anything like that. I'm going to let her do it herself. But from myself and Aidan, welcome Shana.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I'm Shana. I'm a parishioner at Corpus Christi Parish. And I am so honored to be here, really. But who am I? I am a mother, a wife, a school teacher, and I have a deep, deep passion for young people. Obviously, as I grew up in the church, there were many mothers, many fathers, many brothers and sisters that I grew up around me, having a lot of ups and downs within the parishes that I belong to, within the church community. But I always loved the church, always loved it. And the church has shown me and taught me so many things. And the thing that always stuck with me is the innocence and love that young people have. And when you notice that they start to grow up and start to shift and create their own identity around whatever experiences they have, you start to see that kind of change and go away. And as a school teacher, dealing with young children, 7 and 8 years old, I wasn't trained as a school teacher. I was trained in psychology, philosophy, humanities. That's where I came from. And I was thrown into the teaching profession, hating teachers, because I never had... There's that fine line with your story with a teacher. You either had a teacher that blessed your heart, or you had a teacher that broke your heart. Those are the two extremes that I found.
There's no in the middle of the good and the bad.
You would always hear that kind of stories. And so, for me, it was never... I never saw myself being a teacher. But learning from those little ones, coming with a different mindset, because I wasn't trained to be a teacher. I taught myself through experience how to do this job. But obviously, connecting with kids is always something I knew. Yeah. And so I grew on that and I observed them. And I can tell you, you don't become an adult and know what you're doing. No. You're already born knowing what you were supposed to do. You already have disagreements and questions and challenges, and I think you have that already as a young person. And when you engage with the world, you kind of realize, oh my goodness, maybe I must change here so that I can adapt or I can fit in. Maybe I have to change that. And so my experience has been, maybe you don't have to do that. Maybe that is the actual journey. How true can you be to yourself while growing and journeying in this life? Each year that you get older, how true can you stay to that self? And that is just the world that I want to participate in and be part of. And whatever opportunity that I'm given to share that, that's where I want to be. So that's my story. I don't want to even call myself a teacher. I don't have an identity with that. I would just say that I'm somebody that's really in love with our faith. And I don't want to be defined by anything yet.
No, like certain title of, listen, I'm a teacher or I'm a lecturer.
This is my expertise or whatever. Yes. No. Yes. And I also noticed that something where people can split their identity. Like, I'm a psychologist, but I'm also a Christian. Yes. I'm a this, I'm also a that. And me as a teacher, I give all my experience to my faith. All of it has taught me, in actual fact, if you just encounter another human being and you are able to give the love that you have received from Jesus to that person, sure. Because what's going to substitute it? Your ego, your power. What substitute, if it's not love that you're connecting with somebody, what are you using to, it's your agenda. What are you using? And I found, like, especially sometimes you get, because little ones can't get out of hand sometimes. So there are moments there are moments where you know, when you're under pressure with your job, with certain deadlines, that you do feel other things besides love. And then I notice that it won't work. If I'm a little bit frustrated with a child doesn't understand those things. And so it's a place for me to sanctify my relationship with God and say that that's my ego. That's my humanness. That's just a reminder that I need to put my faith back. And I know that this child is difficult, but being frustrated or being short-tempered is not going to get the preferred outcome. And look, God isn't a butterfly in rainbows, love. He does have a serious side. Yes. And I lean on Him for that seriousness. And He is a God of justice. He is a God of order and structure. And I lean on that in a loving way for those learners in my classroom.
So, Shana, you have been saying for the longest time you have this love for for young adults and for children, and not so much the older ones, because I feel like you kind of get them.
Yeah.
But when it comes to us as young adults, and I speak for myself and Aidan here. So just a side note, myself, Aidan and Shana, we had a conversation prior to this. And Shana asked us, what is our own experiences and perspectives being in the church? Because of Shana's involvement with the youth, with the young adults, with the 7-8-year-olds that she does with the school, she came to us and she asked us, but now, what is your experience? Because recently there was this confirmation, our confirmation candidates of Corpus Christi, they got confirmed. And when the three of us were speaking, Shana asked, so you are now past confirmation stage, you are perhaps in the getting married stage. I don't know, Aidan, if you feel the same.
No! We are not in that boat yet!
But, just like it's now post confirmation, and after confirmation, according to the Catholic faith, getting ready to get married.
Exactly.
And, it's all of those things.
Build your little community.
Yes. So we are currently in that stage now, and I mean, the point of this is Shana is actually asking us, so how are we still here? Just for myself and Aidan, how are we still here? 20 odd years later, we haven't left the specific parish. Well, personally, I haven't left the specific parish and came back. So we just want to share our little experiences of why we are still here and how we are still here.
Can I ask you something? Like, when I asked you that question, did you have to think about it, or did something come immediately to your mind?
I think I had to take like 2 minutes and just think about how am I still here and why am I still here.
Okay.
Because there was quite a few moments where I know that I wanted to leave, but also.
So what was that feeling? So when I asked the question, like, what was that feeling? What feeling did you have?
The feeling of why did I?
Yeah, why are you here? Why are you still here? What was that feeling that you had when I asked that question? Was it like, oh, I have something to say about that?
Yeah.
Or was it, hey, let me think about that? Or, yeah.
I felt a bit edgy because no one has actually asked me personally why I'm still in the Catholic faith or why I'm still in Corpus Christi. I've never gotten that direct question.
Yeah.
People just assumed, okay, so her family attends the church, her parents are still attending the church. Wow, yeah, my parents are still attending the church, so she's involved in the church, so that's why she's still here.
Yeah.
Because her parents brought her up like that.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
It's like they kind of assuming the thing of why am I still here. But Aidan, we want to know from you, just a bit of a little thing of why you still here and how are you still here.
Aidan, we came from the same parish, eh? You were at St. Clement's.
Yes, yes, I was.
And then we met each other here in Corpus Christi.
But that was yonks. That was yonks ago.
Aidan was a small boy on the benches at St. Clement's.
Yeah, so after St. Clement's we came here. I can't remember when we came here, but anyway, from a young age, obviously you get into catechism. You have all these ministries that are happening in the church. So for many years, obviously you had to join a ministry or you had to be involved in some way. So they said to me, why don't you join altar serving? And I was adamant I did not want to join altar serving for like an entire year.
How old were you at that time?
I think I was grade 5, grade 6, somewhere there.
So that's 11.
10, 11, somewhere there.
Okay. And you were like, no.
I was adamant. For an entire year, I was like, no. Eventually, I was just like, okay, let's just see how this goes. At the time, Mr. Gubelo was still there as head of altar service. And then I joined it. And I was there for like 6 years.
Sure.
I never left it. I was like, I'm enjoying this so much. Let me just stay with it.
What made you like stay?
I just had this. When I was on the altar, everything was just different. I was closer.
Wow.
It was more intimate.
Or was it a different view?
It was. Being able to help the priests on the altar do his ministry.
So instead of like sitting in the pews, you were participating and it just brought everything. That's a cool perspective to actually hear from.
And then after that, doing music ministry. I was in the music ministry since probably grade 8.
So that was the time when we had the drums at the back, I remember.
No, before that. So when we had the band, I would bring my drum set.
Okay.
I would bring my drum set to the church and we'd play, and it was played at Christmas plays and carols. And
That's a while back.
That's a while back, yes.
Wow.
So we used to play at those from time to time.
And you were still altar serving.
And I was still altar serving, yes. And then after COVID came, I didn't see a way for me to go back to it. But before COVID, I then joined Life Team.
Before COVID, okay. Yeah, Life Team was running. I still remember we had to do it online and things like that.
Yeah, so even then that was difficult. Doing Life
It was
Team
like,
online.
Aidan, help!
Yeah, so I joined Life Team, and then my ministry just went that way. Still in music, but no longer in altar serving. But I've just joined another ministry.
Basically, we are called to work, right? We are
Yes.
called to participate. And so your journey had just been participating in the church, and that's what kept you here. So then how was your spiritual journey through that whole process?
So when I started altar serving, it was very bland. It was up and down.
Plan as in what? As in like, were you a questioning mind? Were you just, okay, let's just do this run of the mill?
I was just going with it.
You were just going with it.
I didn't question. I was
Okay.
just going with it. I didn't think, okay, this is why we're doing it.
I have a similar story with the rosary. I remember we have like spiritual warriors in our community, and in especially St. Clement's, like those women there, they like the set prayer group. Even like the men know. Call
my
the set prayer
goodness.
group. Call, if it's 9-day novena, where are the warriors?
yeah,
Call this women. They will like without fail, they there. Whatever they're doing in their separate ways, they come together. They all fit in a car, and then they there leading the novena.
yes.
And growing up as well, there was an old lady that used to look after me before my mom. When she came home from work, she would fetch me there, and we would do the rosary with all the kids there, and it would be the same kind of feeling like. It was
Yeah,
very
what am I doing?
difficult
Yes.
to participate in this rosary.
Yes.
Very difficult. You would think it's the most beautiful thing, the most beautiful prayers, meditations. When you look at it on its own, it's beautiful. But why is it so difficult to
Just
participate
to sit
in it?
there and just do this prayer.
And that was from, I don't know even what age I was, probably the same age as you, maybe younger when you started altar serving. But that was the relationship with the rosary. It's so difficult to pray this thing. And I think now being part of, as an adult, 9-day novenas, praying for whoever died and whatever, still challenging to do it. But as you go through the days, maybe the third day you start realizing why you're part of this thing and what it means to pray for this person's soul. But particularly now as a mother, and also somebody who couldn't come to church regularly because of baby and whatever, and Adam going to catechism, I had to stay at home a lot. And the rosary was my best friend. Praying the rosary, grabbing it when it's challenging and forcing myself to pray it, just going, knowing that what it brings, not my feeling, my emotions or how difficult this might be now, just trusting what it brings, broke that connection. So it was like from going, this is difficult to pray, to, wow, Mary, I want to have your heart. I want to know you. You were the mother of Jesus. How did you do it? You were a mother. You were with the disciples, the apostles. You were with them. What was your heart like? You've seen so much.
Yes,
You
yes.
know so much more that I could possibly know. This is my connection to you. And as I prayed, I'm like, as a mother, it hits deeper, and the need to pray rosaries becomes more clear to me now. And so now I do it whether I like it, whether I don't like it. I know what the power it possesses, and I'm not going to let my emotions or myself.
Overcome
It's
it,
just
yes.
another way of that whole sanctification process, like putting yourself again. Because your mind can play tricks on you. You know, you have days when you're lazy. You have days when
Just don't
you're
want to do
frustrated.
anything. You just
Life. We all know life.
Yeah.
We all know life, and we don't need another person knowing life to sit in that misery type of thing. Let's just lean on something that knows what we're going through and saying, okay, let's just sit in it. Let's just sit through it. Tomorrow is another day. You're going to get your daily bread. You're going to get what you need for the next day. Today is a tough one.
Yes.
Today is a tough one.
Aidan, your story, like the fact that you left and you came back, you come from a different parish.
Yeah.
And
I was young. I wouldn't have remembered that, but yeah.
Yeah, so you came from a different parish and you joined Corpus Christi, and you've been with Corpus Christi ever since coming to Corpus Christi. I've been in Corpus Christi for as long as I am alive today.
I know, remember when you were working, you came at a different mass, eh?
Yes.
So you,
Yes. When I
think it was
worked weekends also.
the evening. So we
Yes.
didn't really see each other.
Yes,
No.
I used to come on a Sunday evening, or I used to do a Saturday evening. So people didn't really see me like they do now.
So your story is basically you were like in the world busy hustling and
I
then
was-
just popping in
yes.
mass and then slipping out and
Yes.
coming back.
Just
and
like-
that's a lot of people's story
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, just
And so
like-
what's that like?
It was quite strange, to be very honest. If I think about it now, it kind of feels like I was just reminding God, like, listen, hi, your child is still here, you know. Just like, I'm just coming to say hi, that's
Yeah.
all. And I'm going again.
Yeah.
But ever since the day I was born, I was here. The church actually looks different. Because if I can actually still see my baptism photo, like I can still see it in front of me. It's literally in a place in my house where I can just open it and I can look at it.
You have this tactile relationship with this church.
Yes, I still
You've seen it in all its phases.
Yes, I've seen all the priests and the deacons, and I've seen them all. I don't remember them all, but I've seen them all. And I've gotten to altar serving in grade 5. So because I went to a Catholic primary school, my parents did that thing to me. You're going to a Catholic primary school, you're going to do everything at this primary school,
Oh my
and
goodness.
Wednesday
you're going to
mass.
do it. You had Wednesday mass, you had Fridays when you had to come ring the bell for Angelus, and I was just like, I was one of those. And to be honest, I didn't want to do altar serving. My grade 5 teacher got me into altar serving. She was like, you are going to do this. Your mother wants you in altar serving, so I'm going to help your mother do it. Because my grade 5 teacher and my mother had a very good relationship.
Okay.
So if I was misbehaving, my mother was the first person to know about it. Anyway, I got into altar serving, and Mr. Cabello was still here, and gosh, I need Mr. Cabello back. Because that man was like, every Sunday he used to nail me because I didn't have a certain shoes on.
So
or was
you have
half
like a
asleep.
good teacher story.
I'm one of those. I have the good teacher story. And then altar serving was, and then I got confirmed. And that's when I said to my parents, I'm an adult now. In Corpus Christi, I'm going to step down. Because I thought I was...
Whoa! Whoa!
Calling the shots now.
I just told the confirmation candidates when I left, I said, guys, do you know what it means to be confirmed? You are an adult in the parish, so now you can't judge any adult because you're literally one of them. And if you have a problem, you need to sort it out, you need to solve it. And your first thing was bye.
I was like, I'm going. Thank you very much. That is my conclusion. Thank you, Corpus Christi, for being so good to me, but like, I'm leaving.
I'm off.
I dropped altar serving, and it was actually, so from grade 5 up until first few months of grade 11 still, I was like 16, 17, I was still an altar server. After that, I was like, nope, thank you, very much gone. Not long after that,
So you were still doing mass, but you just dropped all your...
I just dropped all the...
So what did you replace that time with?
I was at school. I was doing school things. I didn't worry about
School
anyone.
things? What school things?
I was hanging out with my friends. I was
Okay.
doing my academics. I was doing this, doing that in school. So I didn't really worry with
Okay.
anything church related besides coming on a Sunday with my parents.
Okay.
And then Life Teen started. For the manual, it was for the manual. Since Life Teen started, for the manual was on my case. Kaylynn, please come join us. Kaylynn, how do you feel about this? But the thing is, I stayed semi-far from the church. So I had a relatively good excuse to say, sorry, Father, I stay quite far. My
And you
father
knew
was
deep down it was an excuse.
I knew. Listen,
I was like, let me just say something to just...
But Sheva, he felt for me. To a certain extent, he felt for me because he knew that my father worked late and he knew that there was no way to get to
But
my
he needed to plant that seed.
He could see that, listen, this child, she needs that seed. She needs to be planted. And I think they fought with me for like 2 years, 2-3 years they fought with me to join Life Teen. And for the life of me, I just didn't. I said, no, Father, I can't. Sorry, I'm busy with university. Sorry this, sorry that. And then eventually, I joined Life Teen. It was one of the best
What, were there no
decisions.
more excuses?
There was no excuse. I became an entire adult, full-time working, finished my studies, and I had no other excuses. And I said, okay, Father, where's the papers? Let me sign it. Let me sign my life, and, let's do it. Then joined Life Teen, and honestly, it was one of the best decisions I could have ever made.
I think I had met you like for maybe 3 sessions of
Yes,
Life Teen, and then I left.
Yes, yes.
Then I had to
so
pay.
basically what Shana did is she brought me to Life Teen, and she basically handed me the backing because Aidan wasn't really doing it. And she handed me the pattern and she was like, okay, Kaylynn, this is your pattern. Thank you very much. I'll see you. And then Shana left. And then I stayed. And then I was now nominated as PPC youth representative also, and also proclaiming. So I'm doing these different ministries. But why am I still here? It feels like it's so fulfilling to a certain extent. Because even though there was that part from turning 16 to when Life Teen started, there was that part, that was my time of where I stepped back completely. It was kind of like I was focusing on my personal life, but I knew wholeheartedly that I couldn't focus on my personal life without God in it. Yeah. And I saw that. I saw how my personal life took a bad turn in that couple of years when I turned away from the church.
That is just as important as your spiritual life. It's actually just as, like you can't, it's like food and water.
Yes.
You need both. You do need both. And that brings me to maybe a story of like watching my mommy. So my dad is Hindu. My mother is a born Catholic. And my dad got confirmed. I don't know if it was before they got married. I don't know if they were married and he was still a Hindu or before that. I wasn't born yet. But he came to the faith. And he was the most difficult man that you ever know. He's a man that has a very strong personality, very strong reasoning. You're not going to just tell him a story and he's going to believe you. He's going to question that and find the integrity in it, and he's going to search for it. And nobody was going to change his mind. You're not going to come and sit here and change my mind about it, and he could read right through you. And especially if you came and spoke to him, you were an authentic man. He didn't like people who were acting. It was like, no, I'm not going to listen to you. And he came to the faith. He dropped being a Hindu and he came to the Catholic Church. And my dad was always like a crafty man, a jack of all trades type of thing. He just learned with the eye, learned with the hands type of thing. And he came to the faith. And he was building his business. So Sundays was a day that he wasn't available. And so he wasn't in the church, but he was reading the Bible. He was reading the Quran. He wanted to know about other religions because he was still a person that was seeking truth. Even though he came to the faith, he found his truth. He was still wanting to base its integrity against all the other threats. And he would be best friends with so many priests. I remember he had not only a priest, but there was his pastor he was friends with from another denomination. And he called him Padre, and he would have so many debates with him. And I eventually called him Uncle Padre because that's who we knew him as. And he would always, that's what I remember my dad watching him, being with like a group of people, visiting priests, having meals with him, talking, discussing, debating the faith, building up his vocabulary on how to be a minister of the faith. So he didn't necessarily do it within the church, but he did it with many people around him. And so coming back to the point of like your personal life is just as important as your spiritual life. My mommy was the one in the church. My mommy was doing the cooking, doing the financing, doing the fundraising. You have to look after yourself. It's important. Get yourself organized because you can't be that martyr. You can't be that. You need to be, you are a mother to your family first before you are a mother to the church first. You are an individual, a participant in your family first before you are going to serve the community. And you need to have a strong family foundation. I think our church in particular is about tradition in the family. It is about how strong is your family. Because if you can show me a strong family, that's a strong faith. They come in here and they're receiving and they're participating in the mass, and they can give because they're receiving. They are open. They are constantly growing. Yes, there are challenges, but they know what the goal is. They know who the head is. And so I never had that growing up. My mother was experiencing it because she was connecting with the church, but she wasn't bringing it back to the home.
Into the cups, into the other cups.
Although I might have, I had a different view, like you were talking about, you in the pews and you witnessed the mass compared to being on the altar and witnessing mass. That's like two different. It's the same. You in the same room. You in the same timeline. You in the same. You there together, but you're having a different experience.
Yes.
And so our experiences are so different. That's the crazy part. But eventually we get there. Eventually it gets used for what needs to be used for. So I think the moral of the story is like, don't judge your journey.
Please, like that's
don't
one
judge
thing.
Your journey.
That's absolutely one thing that I would never want to do. Because I mean, I was here and then I left for a couple of years and people was fighting for me to come back and I just said, no, I'm not handing that pattern. Don't give me any pattern to take. I'll come back eventually. And there was that year, I can remember. He came to knock on my door and he was like, my child, I need you back.
You ready, yeah.
I let you go for too long. My child, just like come back. And I fought it. I said, no, I'm not going to come back. I'm so glad I opened that door. Honestly.
And you do have to also have a conviction story. Because because then you know it is of the Spirit. When your body is telling you, you know what you must do. You don't want to do it, but you know what you must do. Yes. And that's that conviction to say, okay. Because you do get stories where people are hearing, you know you must pass the pattern. Yes. You know you must pass the pattern now. You know you're supposed to, but why are you still holding it? And so God does knock and He does speak to us. And we shouldn't be judging our journeys. Yeah. And the church is beautiful regardless of whatever. Yeah, it doesn't put any issue, any problem, any dispute. That's not where it shines its light. The altar is where we're all looking at the end of the day. And I always say, if there was like no people on earth and somebody walked in here and asked, okay, where would I find more about Jesus? If they walk into a Catholic church, they can see the story. They can see it. They can see the tabernacle. Yes. They can see the stations of the cross around them. They can see our Blessed Mother on the side, what she's doing, how her hands look, where are the candles. Yeah. That you can already tell a story. They can see where the confessionals are, the baptismal font. You walk in there, and you can already put pieces together and make a story. Yes. And that for me is beautiful. That already is home. That just tells me you shouldn't be judging parishioners here. You shouldn't be judging anybody here because you don't know where you are in your journey. Especially with our youth today, I think they don't speak a lot. And with social media, they're not socializing a lot. Back in the day, we would want to come to youth group because it's a group of kids. Exactly. We can socialize with people.
We can talk to each other.
There was societies, we were soccer or this committee. We wanted to connect with people because that was our social buzz. Now we have social media. We can sit at home in a room on our bed and connect with people that we haven't seen physically.
And we probably will never even see.
And then you're so fixated at connecting with those people that you never see, that when you're with people that's right next to you,
like in front
you're
of
still socializing with them. And so socializing has become
very different.
It's different. Yeah. And that means kids are literally having conversations with other people on their phone while they are connecting with people next to them. And they're actually not connecting. They just being.
They think that they are.
So they're having this physical connection where they're seeing you and So for me, that physical connection has turned into like judgment because now I'm having a conversation about you in my mind, thinking about like, what are you like? What are you this? Whatever. And I'm having this connection online type of thing. So I see a lot of thinking youth. And I would like to know what's going on in their minds. Honest, what are the questions that they are thinking about? Like, you have to give those questions a voice. Yes. Do you know what I mean? Yes. For it to become an idea, for it to become a concept, for it to become change if it needs to be. But if you're keeping it in your mind, just thinking and coming up with your own conclusions, you're living in an echo chamber. You're just feeding your own thoughts with what you think the conclusions are. And that for me is a little bit, I'm like, how? And what you guys are doing is, because now you create, you connecting with social media.
Yes. We've basically
you're putting the two.
Yeah, we've basically become that platform of trying our best to connect in other ways because we see that these young adults, we see that these youth are not connecting the way we connected when we were younger.
Yeah, no, sure.
And especially like now.
Not a chance.
About this one video my husband sent me about this guy. Look, weird things happen when you connect. Yes. Like if you're playing soccer with boys, there could be a fight. Do you know what? The energy levels go up, and then you fight for 1 second, and then you make friends. Weird things happen, and we get over it. It allows you to stop taking things so personally and just be in the moment and just for once in your life think about what another person is going through physically.
But that doesn't happen anymore.
That doesn't happen anymore. We don't even have accidents. Like if I bump someone, that person's feelings get hurt and then tomorrow they never talk to me and I don't even know what I did. Exactly. Do you know what I mean? Whereas back in the day, like, why did you do that to me? And then we
it becomes a whole physical thing. Back in the day, there was like this whole
and so there was this one thing on social media where this group of guys, they were fighting in the room.
Yeah.
And like boys do, they need to get the energy out. They were fighting in the room, and this guy picks up a 1.5 bottle and then he hits him. And the guy looks at me and says, a 1.5 bottle! And it's like, okay, we're fighting, but we understand.
Yes.
We're trying to get to a point. And at the end of the day, human connection should always be the ultimate thing that we look at. That should be the thing that we regard as the highest value, not our feelings or what's going on in our head.
So you are now school teacher, and you're doing this and you're doing that, and there's no titles and all of those things, and being so dedicated and so involved with the young people and the young adults, and having such a strong relationship with your faith, which I feel like is very rare to see in this day and age. Absolutely very rare. Shana, myself, and Aidan has had conversations prior to all of this, as I mentioned. So there is a part that we don't speak about. There is a part that we don't deal with. There is a part where we don't want to share with others.
The shadow.
Yes. And that is stress. That is something that I feel like a lot of Catholics do not speak about. I could be wrong, but personally, from experiences that I've seen and heard, we don't speak about it.
Yeah.
I don't
You know what? When you just said that now, I was just thinking about. I don't know if you guys watched The Chosen.
No.
Do you know what The Chosen is?
No.
Okay, so I also don't know. I came across it like about 2 weeks ago. It is a series based on the apostles and the disciples and how Jesus lived. So it's Jesus' story through how he chose the 12, how he chose the 12, right? So it's a series because, like, you know, The Passion of Christ is the most beautiful movie ever that we had for a long time, and a lot of people are touched by it still today. So The Chosen is a series, meaning that the story of Jesus can be told over more than just a movie duration. And it was awesome to watch because they're streaming it free. You will find season 1 free on YouTube. And so I was watching that, and there was the episode where Jesus brings the girl back to life, right? And
that little girl.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
It's an amazing story. And the guy playing Jesus, he's actually Catholic, and he does an awesome job at playing Jesus. And so he goes to the girl, and how does he bring her back to life? He whispers. Yes. He whispers in her ear. He whispers life back into her. And when he did that, something just clicked in my brain to say, she wasn't her body. She wasn't a body actually. Like the body was there, and we're like, wake up. Like people's like, she's gone. So now what are we gonna do with the body? Like, but she actually wasn't a body. Jesus, he never came and he checked the body to see how's the leg and the arm and whatever. He went into her ear and he breathed. He spoke life back into her, because it's almost like he knew the soul. It's like we are the souls that are in the body, and so the soul is the biggest thing. When I saw that scene, I was like, the soul is actually the ultimate thing, and the body is what we use, and we make the body like the highest thing, the most important thing here on earth. And I was just thinking about COVID and the stories of COVID, where people would say, my faith, I don't know, so many denominations would say, my opposite neighbor, like, shoo, this is like a spiritual battle. Like the days when you feel like, when you have COVID, when you actually had COVID, in those days where like you just want to get over that difficult, that night, dark, you want that night to come. Some people would be in prayer during the night. Some people would say that I wasn't with her, I couldn't be with her in the hospital, they never touched, I couldn't, connect with her. And so those COVID stories like also just confirm that whole thing of, yes, something's happening to your physical body, but you wanting to connect to something higher in that time as well, to get you through each day so that your body can recover and heal. So you're calling, you want your soul to connect with its creator, to get your body through those healing days. And that scene was just so powerful. And I think that's where, with regards to stress and anxiety, that would be the start. The body is the vessel that moves us from A to B, that helps us communicate, that helps us participate, but it is not the ultimate.
It's not everything.
It's my soul that separates me from you. Okay, we have the same body, the same functioning features. You are a man, you have your part to play, but your soul is different to another man. Your point is different. Your gift is different. Your body is just a vehicle to what you are called to do here. And that for me would be the first. To not regard the body as the highest, but to regard the soul as the highest, your purpose as what you do here. And then to look after it in the manner in which, because it was given to you, and you know now that it has a purpose. Yes. So how are you going to look after it? How are you going to look after it? How are you going
to deal with the certain things that are thrown at this body?
Yeah.
And
how are you going to prioritize it?
Yes.
How you go, and like you said, you also learned, and I think that's how the generations are shifting, is that we've seen how our parents did things, and we see now there is a need to value the personal just as much as the spiritual. So it wouldn't be like this line, but it would be like a line going from up to down, where you connect. And I was just thinking about, who's this guy now on the internet? He was talking about Saint Augustine, and he was saying that it is only in God that our souls are at rest. Just think about that for a minute, and think about that story that I just told you about the girl. It is only in God that our souls are at rest. Yes. Other than that, we are restless. We are restless, we are searching, we are wanting, but we are not resting in God.
We're resting in everything else and everyone else, and we are seeking that rest in everything else and from everything else. But we're not realizing that there's only one person that can give us that rest.
Yes. And here's the thing, once you rest in Him, you are relaxed. And now you can enjoy the other things that's in front of you. Now you can enjoy your connection with your family, with things that's happening at school, with, you know what I mean? And you know, the world will speak, and they will try, that's the great temptation, they will try to make everything else more important. And the priest wouldn't be the priest if he doesn't just allow this church to be what this church is and do what he's supposed to do with the sacrament. And step into Christ in person when he's doing that. That's what he's supposed to do. Yeah. He's not supposed to be solving our problems. That's not his job. His job is to gather the flock and to do what Jesus told him to do.
Exactly what he's called to do at the end of the day.
And we are called to receive it, and we are called to carry on.
Yeah.
But the question is, are we making God number one? And all the rest is following afterwards. So that's the first question that people need to ask themselves.